Samurai Shodown is a franchise that took the fighting world by storm since its debut in early 90s. The series has spawned a number of sequels that range from awesome to mediocre. With the Samurai Spirits franchise going through a revival at the time, I decided to try and rank all the Samurai Shodown games from worst to best. Now before I go ahead and list the games, I would like to mention that the list will not include ports to other consoles with the exception of Samurai Shodown 2 on the Neo Geo Pocket Color, since it counts as a different title than the one it is based on. Now with that out of the way, let's go ahead and start from the worst of the worst. Number 15, Samurai Shodown Sen. The last game on this list is hardly a surprise. Touted as a reboot of the series back in 2008, Samurai Shodown Sen is a Samurai Shodown game only in title. The game adopted a full 3D gameplay, but that is not why it is a bad game. For some odd reason, the developers decided to remove all characters' special moves, turning the Samurai Shodown game into a Soul Calibur knockoff. With mostly bland new characters, lack of signature moves, and uninspired gameplay, Samurai Shodown Edge of Destiny definitely sits at the lowest entry of the Samurai saga. Number 14, Samurai Shodown Warriors Rage. The PlayStation 1 exclusive fighting game Samurai Shodown Warriors Rage was a departure from the previous title as it brought only one character back in the form of the old Haomaru, with the rest of the cast all made of new characters. The game's story takes place 25 years in the future, and if that was not exciting for you, then nothing else is. The game received horrible reviews, and for good reasons. The lack of recognizable characters, an odd point system rather than the typical rounds, and horrible gameplay were all legitimate reasons to hate this game. Number 13, Samurai Shodown Nakoruru ADV. When SNK announced that a second Samurai Shodown RPG was in the making, many rejoiced and thought that this would be a successor to the excellent Samurai Spirits RPG, but unfortunately it was far from it. The Samurai Spirits Nakoruru Ano Hito Kara no Okorimono was more of a visual novel than an actual game. The story focused on the early years of Nakoruru and was accompanied by an anime series that was cancelled after a first episode. The Samurai Shodown Nakoruru RPG was released on the Sega Dreamcast and PC. Number 12, Samurai Shodown 64 Warriors Rage. The first Samurai Shodown 64 game, which was the launch title of the Hyper Neo Geo 64, was met with mixed reviews. The game felt a bit slow compared to the 2D games, but had a very interesting play, great visuals, and amazing atmosphere. The same, however, cannot be said about its sequel, Samurai Shodown 64 Warriors Rage. The new game was slower, more sluggish, and felt a step backwards. While the gameplay was mostly 2D, it felt less of a Samurai Shodown title than its 3D predecessor. Samurai Shodown 64 Warriors Rage was never released outside of the Hyper Neo Geo arcade system, with the exception of the Neo Geo Pocket Color port, Samurai Shodown 2. Number 11, Samurai Shodown 6. Here's where I will get a lot of heat. Samurai Shodown 6 was known as Samurai Spirits Tenka, was a 2D celebration of the franchise that was released on the Atomic Wave arcade cabinet before hitting home consoles. The game was the first Samurai Shodown fighting game to not be released on a Neo Geo AVS or AES systems, and included every playable character from the 2D series, including the character pets like Poppy and Mama Haha. Gameplay-wise, Samurai Shodown 6 had multiple systems to choose from, each representing a previous game. While all this sounds great, Samurai Shodown 6 does not feel like a Samurai Shodown game. The gameplay relied more on rushing down your opponent and doing combos than being methodical and relying on patience like previous Samurai Shodown games. The lack of blood and animated gore associated with the series also did not help in making Samurai Shodown 6 the least favorite in the 2D fighting titles. Number 10, Samurai Shodown 64. The launch title of the ill-fated Hyper Neo Geo 64 arcade system was met with mixed reactions. Samurai Shodown 64 took the 2D gameplay of the first title to a third dimension. While many were put off by the game's polygonal graphics and 3D gameplay, Samurai Shodown 64 was a good game with a lot of potential. The art direction, music, and some gameplay elements were a great addition to the series. Some of the new characters quickly became fan favorites. Like its sequel, Samurai Shodown 64 was never released outside of the Hyper Neo Geo 64 arcade system. Number 9. Samurai Shodown 3. One of the least favorite Samurai Spirits title is also one that wowed everyone in terms of graphics. Samurai Shodown 3 Blades of Blood was a makeover for the franchise as characters took a dark and serious turn in terms of aesthetics. Many fan favorite characters made their debut in Samurai Shodown 3 like Basara and Shizumaru. The game is also notable for adding the new bust and slash version of the characters. But some odd gameplay choices, game-breaking bugs, and a small roster did not help the game's reception by the series fans. Number 8. Samurai Shodown 5. After the lukewarm reception of the 3D Samurai Shodown games with Samurai Shodown 64 and Samurai Shodown 64 Warrior's Rage, SNK decided to take things back to 2D with Samurai Shodown 5, also known as Samurai Spirit Zero in Japan. The game that serves as a prequel to the series introduced new characters, got rid of the slash and bust modes, and added some interesting mechanics. But the complete lack of blood and gore, the horrible balance made Samurai Shodown 5 a game not well regarded by fans. Number 7. Samurai Shodown RPG. If there was one Samurai Shodown game that can be considered as an obscure cult classic, it is the Japan-only Samurai Spirits RPG, also known as Samurai Spirits Bushido Retsuden. The console-exclusive game launched in the mid-90s on the Neo Geo CD, PlayStation 1 and Sega Saturn. The game is a retelling of the first two Samurai Shodown games in an RPG form. While the game is nothing spectacular in terms of RPG elements, its rich storytelling, beautiful music, and the fact that every Samurai Shodown character from the first three games have an appearance make this title a must-play for Samurai Shodown fans. Number 6. Samurai Shodown. The original Samurai Shodown took the world by storm. It was so revolutionary that it introduced weapons into the fighting games and became a pioneer in its genre. Introducing methodical play, high damage that became a staple of the franchise, the game turned heads with its beautiful sprites, art direction, and beautiful music. Samurai Shodown was released on all consoles at the time and is still considered one of the best games of the franchise. Number 5. Samurai Shodown 4 Amakusa's Revenge. While Samurai Shodown 3 delivered in terms of graphics, when it came to gameplay mechanics and playability, it was seen as a big step backward for the franchise. But SNK soon announced Samurai Shodown 4, an amazing game and an apology letter to the series fans. Samurai Shodown 4 brought back some series favorites like Charlotte and Tam Tam, while also adding some new ones like the Kazama brothers. The game's mechanics were fun and the inclusion of fatalities were also a nice touch for the franchise. Number 4. Samurai Shodown 2 Neo Geo Pocket. If you have never played the Samurai Shodown 2 on the Neo Geo Pocket Color, then you might be surprised why this game is top 4 of the entire series. But those of us who played this little gem know that Samurai Shodown 2 on the NGPC is one of the best Samurai Shodown games. The game itself is a 2D portable version of the Samurai Shodown 64 Warrior's Rage. Having almost all the characters from that game, the gameplay mechanics were fun and felt like a true Samurai Shodown game. If you never played this game, then you will be happy to know that a Switch port of the Samurai Shodown 2 is on the way with the Samurai Shodown 2019 version. Number 3. Samurai Shodown 5 Special. Some will argue that Samurai Shodown 5 Special should be the number 1 game of the series, and they're not wrong. This updated version of Samurai Shodown 5 was the perfect Samurai Shodown game. Huge roster, balanced cast, amazing stages, and even new mechanics in the form of the Zetsumeogis or overkills. Samurai Shodown 5 Special is one of the few Samurai Shodown games that is still being played professionally in esports events to this day. The game received many ports and re-releases, the latest being an excellent online-enabled port from Code Mystics. Number 2. Samurai Shodown 2. When Samurai Shodown 2 was released in the arcades, it did the impossible task at the time to make an awesome game even better. With better graphics, more characters, and an incredible gameplay, Samurai Shodown 2 is one of the best games of the series and could have easily gotten first spot of this list. Samurai Shodown 2 is still being played to this day in some tournaments, especially in Asia and Latin America. Strangely enough, it took years before the game was ported outside of the Neo Geo arcade and AES systems. Number 1. Samurai Shodown 2019. You might have guessed it, but yes, the new Samurai Shodown is without a doubt the best of the series. The game, which was praised for its art direction since the first teaser, was met with positive reviews when it was released in June 2019. The game is the perfect combination of old meeting new in terms of mechanics and even game roster. A beautiful art direction, amazing music, and high-level methodical play that was absent from fighting games for years. The new Samurai Shodown did not take long to be featured in many esports events like EVO. Samurai Shodown 2019 is still an ever-evolving game with characters being added on a monthly basis. Samurai Shodown is the latest entry of the series and, in my humble opinion, the best of the Samurai Shodown franchise. Now, what did you guys think of my ranking? Do you agree or disagree? Please let me know in the comment section. Also, don't forget to subscribe if you have not done so. If you like this video, leave a like, and until next time, thank you for watching.